after they kind of got that little location, they just started thinking, hey, let's bring in local musicians who could come in on the weekend. And so they have kind of a coffee house feel to it. And then they started thinking, well, let's have a camp for kids in the summer, because there's just not, like, for most kids, if they want to do a camp, they have to go up to Kalamazoo. And that's, that's a lot of parents just can't do that, or they can't afford it. So it started, having a camp for kids. And then we also started the writing tournament that started with the Schoolcraft Library. There's a woman named Deb Christensen who was with that writers group and started it. So we just had these different, people would come up with an idea. Hey, we need to have an art hop. Or, hey, we want to have this concert, and it's all pretty much volunteer power. So it's really exciting. It's driven by the community, and people are like, we want to have concerts. We want to have an exhibit of the teenagers' art. We want the kids to have something to do in the summer, and we say, okay, we'll do it. So it's pretty fun.
It's so important for kids to feel empowered about something that they can do when they have an outlet, whether it is math or science, fair project, or robotics is a big thing, of course, now, a lot of the schools, but the arts too as well. Now, is the cafe still in existence in Vicksburg, and how often is that open?
Well, we had to make some changes during the pandemic, and so then, how they say, when a door closes, God opens a window. So we were like, okay, that's going to happen for us. So during the pandemic, we couldn't really raise money with any of our programs, and so we closed the storefront. But it's turned out to actually be much better for us, because now a lot of times we take the art to the people. Instead of asking people to come to our building, anytime there's a festival like the Village Harvest Festival, or the Car Festival, or the Christmas in the Village, we're there with projects for kids and things like that. And then if we want to have something like a play, or we want to have a performance, we just rent a building, or we borrow a building in town and use it temporarily just for the events. And so it's given us a chance to really reach out to a lot of people who might not normally come to us, who might not even try some arts, but we're out there, out at the festival, and we're like, come over to our table and just have some fun with us.
That's right.
That's great.
It's kind of like when Jesus was talking about, instead of expecting people come to the temple or tabernacle, you take the gospel to the highways and byways. So in the ministry of art to people. Do you still have plans to do both, to eventually open the storefront?
Someday, eventually, but for now they had to choose between me and a building, so I'm glad they chose me.
No, me too. Good.
That's great.
You gotta have a human being running it. Yes, that's right. Well, the reason I even kind of emphasize that even more is the thought of, and so I'm fresh in my mind now, because my son's girlfriend was looking for a place to share her poetry the other night in a cafe somewhere in Kalamazoo, and the very few venues that offer that opportunity to share a poetry in a cafe kind of setting. And it would be great that someday you might be able to open that back up and have that as also an piece.
And that's another part of our mission too, is to support local artists. Either to help them find a tribe, a group of people that can help them on the way with their art, that they can talk with. For example, we have this great group called the South County Fiber Artists who meet together, and they actually spin wool into thread, and then they weave it into fabrics, and they knit and crochet and all these different kinds of fiber arts, but they support each other. Like, if you don't know how to knit, they'll teach you how to knit, or if you don't know how to use a machine, somebody in the group has used that kind of spindle and can teach you how to do it. So we do that. But I have a little email list, and anytime that somebody needs an artist, like just recently the Schoolcraft Library contacted me and said, we want to start featuring artists in our building and rotating through. So I sent out a call to all of the artists on my list. You want to show your work? The library is looking for someone. So you just tell her, give her my name, and I'll find a place for her portrait.
So you guys are also, it's like a clearinghouse.
To
assist people who want to share their music or their visual art, their writing, the poetry, whatever. Fiber art, that's amazing.
Yeah,
And
we're a
have that-
matchmaker.
yeah, matchmaker. That's a great way to put
That's
it.
great.
I
Yeah.
love that. It's kind of like a synergy, and you can sit back and enjoy the connection that people have, which is kind of what we do with our show here. Is that we just love connecting people to other people. So this is like connecting to a connector here.
Yes, that's right.
Catalyst, and hopefully people will be able to see this, not just live now, but later on we recast it, and
Repost it.
so
Mhm.
and repost it so that people, because without that outlet, I mean, especially during the wintertime, you don't have a lot of sun here in Michigan. I'm not from Michigan in the winter. So to be able to have those moments and times where you can create and then let it simmer and then bring it back out to present or show. I love you guys to get on the tournament piece. You really went to a lot of effort to critique the works and give suggestions and edits. I think it wasn't like just, well, this is a good one, we'll give it a second prize or first.
Yeah.
I mean, and to put it in a book form, I just want to give kudos to you and to Sid and the others, board members, whoever, and to put it all together. It really was
It was well done.
celebratory.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
even adults need to feel like, hey, what they do is good, and to keep doing it, because if you don't get that encouragement, sometimes you get discouraged and may not produce or continue to write or paint. So
And so much of the arts are solitary. I have a friend who's an artist in New York, and he said when the pandemic hit, and people were complaining about having to work from home, he was like, "You're all a bunch of babies. That's what artists do all the time."
right.
You know?
This is true. This is
And
true.
so we need a chance to come together once in a while and to inspire each other. You see what
Yeah.
someone else is doing,
Mhm.
and you see the joy that people feel
Yes.
when they encounter your work.
Mhm.
So
That's
we
right.
should show them. This will
Yeah.
be backwards, but this is where
Yeah.
your poem is, Ralph. It's in here.
Hey,
Yeah.
That's great. That's great.
We gave those to, we bought copies and gave them to our kids for Christmas. So yeah.
I know. I was like joking. You should do that. I'm glad you actually did it.
Yeah, we did. Of course, I'm not a writer, but I was able to go to the awards ceremony thing. And it was very neat because to meet the other writers and to actually, I was standing there reading a short story in that book while he's getting all his signatures,
signatures, yeah.
signing things. And I was right into a story and I was like, this author is right here. You know how you get lost immediately in a story, and I
Yeah.
forgot where
That's
I
gonna be
was.
good. Wow.
And so I was able to go and tell her right at the table
Oh, that's cool.
that, wow, I forgot where I was. I was so
That's how
into
good
your
it was, yeah.
story. It just
The winner.
blessed her. Yeah, she
Yeah.
was the top winner.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
to hear that kind of feedback
Mhm.
and to be able to give that feedback was really fun.
Yeah.
Isn't it fun?
Yeah.
And in this edition,
Mhm.
this is the fourth tournament that we had. The winner of the grand prize of this one told me, she just sent me an email, and she said that she took the short story she wrote in here about a woman with Alzheimer's, and she developed it into a complete novel and is getting it published right now.
Wow.
She said it was the tournament that, that the feedback from the judges and the encouragement gave her the courage to go on and keep on developing that
That
story.
is
And
great.
isn't
That
that
is
so
great.
amazing?
Wow. That is
Yeah.
That
is
alone is worth all the work to have
amazing.
It
somebody
is.
Yes.
get that
It is.
courage.
Yes. And the arts are so therapeutic that on one level, if you never published or showed the work, you get something out of it, but the added benefit of sharing it with others and receive their feedback is, well, there's that happy chemical coming up in my head now, oxytocin, the social chemical, so that when we're together, blessing each other, encouraging each other, it's like, it literally is a super high.
It is.
So there was a question I had. Do you know about in Climax, the music thing that they do every Tuesday? There's a community building. This is maybe another connection to you guys. In Scots. It's in Scots, and they play some amazing music, banjo, guitar, and they meet every Tuesday. Of course, with the COVID, I'm sure that was sort of in and out, mostly out. But now with things opening up a bit more, they have a meal. They sell hot dogs and refreshments, and they just get out in the middle of jamming.
It's quite a community thing.
A lot of people go to it. So, you know,
That's great.
yeah, if you're about, you know, putting other things like that out there, connecting people to things like that, that would be another, I'm not sure what they call it, but it's on the marquee
Okay.
of the building that is for rent. And but Tuesday nights, they have this crazy thing that they do. It's really well done. They're very talented musicians, local people. Have you ever been in touch with chainsaw artists in the area? I have a good friend who has been on our show, who's a pretty well-known chainsaw artist. His name is Sam Dougherty. He did the corn on the cob and the ice cream cone out to 66 Cafe.
Oh, wow.
I know he's with a group of people who do that. And he's calls himself the starving chainsaw artist or something like that.
Probably, right?
There's other jobs too, but just another couple of connections for you guys. So tell us about the tournament coming up and maybe some of the details about that in case we have people that are tuning in that would like to, you know, participate in that.
Oh, yeah, I would, whoever is watching, I would love to read your work. So send it our way. So what happens is during the whole month of March, we'll be accepting entries into the tournament. You can write fiction or you can write nonfiction, which is something that's true. So a lot of people who are working on their memoirs or have written essays will turn that in. And then poetry. And the things need to be fairly short. It's like 2,500 words or less. And they can turn their entries in through our website. So that's vicksburgarts.com.
Okay.
Or I'm sure that you could give that to people, Ralph, if they need it. It's just our website is vicksburgarts.com, and you could submit it anytime during March. And then our judges will busily look over all of those things, and they provide feedback, and they rank the entries. And then in those genres of fiction, nonfiction, and poetry, we divide up the contestants by age. So there's a kids section. And last year we had people from age 5 to 95.
It was amazing.
It was great.
I love it. Wow.
They had those little kids sitting at the author's table, and they would just write only their first name. That's all they could write. It was so cute.
That was wonderful. Wow.
Yeah. So they'll have the little kids, and then from 8th grade up till age 25 is a young adult age category. And then we have adult, and then senior, I think starts at 50. But now that I'm 54, I'm like, shouldn't that be like 70 or 80?
I know. That was what I was thinking.
And so we award cash prizes for first, second, and third place. But the fun part is that whoever enters the tournament gets published in our small town anthology. And then we have this big party to celebrate everybody being in the anthology, and we'll read some of the selections, and we'll talk together to kind of form a writer community about what it's like to be a writer, or how to fight writer's block, or whatever we want to discuss. And then the fun part, the book signing, where the authors like you, Ralph, sit at tables, and people can go around and get their book signed or meet the people in the book. So it's really
that
cool.
was fun. It was really neat.
Very fun.
People rub shoulders with other people, talk about the process of writing for them personally, and a lot of commonalities too, as you were able to have a meal and just sign each other's books and talk about that, and develop the kind of camaraderie, you know, fellowship of the world, I guess. And it's
really important for artists to have a community of people that are working on the same thing. You don't feel so alone. It inspires you. It gives you energy to keep on doing it. So it's just such a great experience. And I love seeing the variety. I mean, we had university students, we had college professors, we had a truck driver who composes in his head while he's driving.
Yeah, he was a cool guy.
Yeah, he really is. So there's just all kinds of people.
One of the things, and I did email this to you, and I'm just leaving it in your hands if you guys, if you feel led or feel that it would be a good addition to the whole outreach that this organization has. But I don't know why it didn't occur to me at the time, but we all have all kinds of irons in the fire and busy.
Yeah.
But I would love to feature some of those authors who end up being winners on our show.
Yeah.
Be fascinating to, if they feel comfortable. Not everybody wants to get behind on Zoom and watch their story show, but there's a lot of people in it. It's a win-win because we're sharing a good thing with other people, hopefully gaining more of an audience for our show. But then the individuals are able to share their lives, and I can't think of a topic that really the whole idea of writing and authors. We probably have had more authors on our show than anything else. I mean, it's
And musicians.
we've had musicians but a lot of art stuff. I mean, last month we had Carolyn Parkhurst, who wrote The Dogs of Babel, and she's from California. But it's just like having a cup of coffee with somebody. We just had a fabulous. It was her debut book, and it became a New York bestseller. How does that happen? And so for all these conversations that we're able to have. So I just want to offer that to you. It would be a great timing piece because by the time the winners are announced, we're full through May right now. So we're looking to book through the rest of the year. So we'll talk later, and you can email me and we'll be in touch. And hopefully I'll get another piece in. I've got some thoughts about something I'd like to write for the contest. My mother, it's funny you mentioned somebody who wrote about their mother having Alzheimer's, and I've been writing what will one day hopefully be a book.
Yes.
I call it Conversations with Mother because lack of a better term. And really, I've got them saved through 3-4 years where the denigration of her disease.
She has
downward,
Alzheimer's also.
Yeah, is you can watch it through our conversations on the phone and even through Zoom lately. And so it's been a help to me, whether I ever publish that. It's therapeutic to be able to, because a lot of us don't belong to those support groups. We've thought about actually starting one for Alzheimer's, people going through it, family members here at the church, and we're still really wanting to do that. But this has been helpful to me. A lot of people will say, oh, it's a sad story because I shared it on Facebook. It's like, well, it helps me. I'm glad to do it. And people can relate to that because it's a real life issue that a lot of us deal with. So we'll see what happens with that. But so folks, if you're listening tonight to Alisha and you would like to write something or you've written something that you think might be publishable, don't be shy about it.
Yeah, it's a really fun experience, and the judges are encouraging, but they'll also help you think about ways that you can get better too. It's the best of both worlds. It's really valuable to have a thoughtful audience, somebody who really takes you seriously.
Yes, it is, and it's meaningful. I think that if somebody is a real writer and they have the hunger to write, whenever they're critiqued, I know when you're younger it's a little more difficult. They're like, oh, you want that. You see that, oh my word, how did I not see that? And because sometimes you just don't mean to. It's like, all right. And so the edits and the rough drafts, there are many rough drafts for the final product, and even that, you welcome it. So that's a great thing. Now with the visual arts, going back to that, if there are those listening or watching tonight, should say, that are painting, how do they connect with the Vicksburg Cultural Arts Center? And you say you bring the art to the people, so you make them aware, they can get a hold of you, email you, or okay. Yeah,
they can get on my email list so they can learn about opportunities in the community. I can let them know when things are coming up. There's a lot of really fun things for painters in this community. Like they have a plein air group that paints outdoors every Saturday, which is another great way to get feedback about your work. And they pick a different park each Saturday all around all of southern Michigan. So it's a pretty fun thing. Yeah. So there's lots of ways to connect with community. So we can help them with that.
That's terrific.
Now, are you in connection with other groups, or are you kind of the one of a kind for how long? I mean, I don't know that there's a Battle Creek Kalamazoo Arts Center. Where's the closest one that's like what you guys do?
They have an arts council in Kalamazoo that kind of
Okay.
helps bring artists together and let them know
Yep.
about activities and things.
Right.
And down in Three Rivers, they have a really neat artist guild that you have to apply to join, but they do a lot of fun things. Like they have little play dates where they all get together and work on art together, things like that. So there's little pockets here and there, but we try to serve all of South Kalamazoo County.
Okay, that's great to know. So, because there's not a lot of people doing what you do or doing it the way that you guys do.
Yeah. Yeah.
And before we close, we've got to talk about Van Gogh and this emergence thing that's supposed to be happening in Grand Rapids. I'm hearing that there's a slow sending out or getting the tickets sold to people. I'm not sure what's the hiccup with that, but we're on the email list of that, and we can't wait to go. We watched Eternity's Gate the other night, the film with about Van Gogh. That was powerful. Wow.
You're getting all revved up for it.
Yeah, right.
I really, and so getting ready to purchase a couple books to read ahead of time, his diaries, and then there was a New York Times bestseller list book about his life by 2 or 3 authors. I've got to get on Amazon and order that before we go, but you've heard of that. Have you been a part of that? Do you know anybody that's been there? Because Detroit.
I have a couple of relatives and friends who've gone in, like at Chicago and some of the other places.
Yeah.
And they just, they say it's so powerful, but to me, it kind of seems like a 1960s light show. You walk in and you've got that psychedelic light.
Yeah. Because the floor has his work, the walls and the ceiling.
Yeah.
All around you. Yeah.
It's immersive is the word.
Yeah.
Well, that was who he was, right? I mean, he told Gauguin he couldn't stop painting, and the amount of work that he did in the time that he lived on this earth, especially the last few months, right, when he was in the hospital, and how he had to always be outdoors. His life is, of course, Don McLean wrote the famous song "Vincent." That I was friends of ours that know Van Gogh's work had never heard of Don McLean's songs. Like you've never heard of Vincent. The story about that is he was actually looking at Starry Night in Lenox or Stockbridge, Mass, when he wrote that song. Pretty interesting, but all things art, I'm sure you and the group there are connected to and want to hear about. So great.
Yeah, and just to let everybody know too, looking way ahead. In the summer, we'll be having art camps for kids.
Okay.
And we raise money for scholarships for that because we want to be as inclusive as possible. So we'll let your viewers know about that later on in the summer. We'll have camps for little kids and then kids that are like 9 to 12 too. So, and then that's where we pay artists and dancers and musicians to come in and work with the kids. And then in October, late September and October, we're having something we call Destination Japan, where we're bringing in theater troupes and we're bringing in craftsmen and musicians and all kinds of people who are specialists in Japanese culture and just immersing ourselves in all things Japanese for about 3 weeks in the fall. So that's going to be something really fun.
Wow.
So if people want to keep up with that, they need to go to your website and just get on it once in a while to see the updates about the camp. Age groups, what, 5 to 12 or?
We'll have a little kids one that'll be like 6 to 8, and then we'll have the bigger kids 9 to 12. Okay. And we run that with volunteers and especially teenage volunteers. So everybody can sign up for my newsletter too, and then I can really keep them up to date. And you just do that through our website, vicksburgarts.com.
Okay. I'm going to re-mention that now. When we put this back out or later on when it shows back up on the live feed, Facebook will put that in the comment section. And certainly we'll do that on YouTube. And I can't wait. I'm going to use my job as a parapro at CCS to spread the word this week because I know there are kids that are capable and to any of this, the writing, the art camp even. Do you guys ever go into the school system, public, Christian, or private, to share about what you're doing?
We haven't, the main thing we do is we tell like a publicity person at the schools, like in the administration building, and then they can cascade it through the building. So they've been really good partners with us this year. So that's been great.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. Well, I'll be your cheerleader for CCS.
Good.
That's great. It's been such a pleasure having you, Alisha, and we hope we stay in touch. I know that we will. And, we'll so long, and tell Sid that we missed her, but grandkids come first. We've got one grand.
Oh yeah.
Spoiled.
We spoil him. So.
And her grandkids are so spoiled. They have the best arts and crafts projects you would ever imagine.
Wow.
That's great. God bless Sid for really, as you said, kind of being one of the frontiers and getting this thing going. And God bless you in your work, and we'll stay in touch.
Thank you. Good night.
Have a good evening.
Good night.
Bye-bye.
Bye.